Hey, what's going on, guys? I just wanted to give another update to the small account that I have. And I just realized that it's been about a week since I last uploaded a video and talked about it. So I want to keep things consistent and drop another video just giving you guys a quick little update, like I said. So yeah, we're looking at this 16 June 23 37 put and this 19 Aug 22 31 put. But before I get into those, I wanted to talk about not these guys. These are actually pretty cool. This is some farmland that I've been looking at. There's an article I was reading earlier. I might get into that a little bit later, but so looking at XLF today, and as of today, it is July 6th. So we can see that on the 1 year daily, things are still pretty low overall, more bearish than anything. And before I zoom in, we can see that, we're kind of near this shelf on the volume profile, this lower shelf down here. And to me, that seems like price is trying to stay relative to the top side of this shelf, which I think this whole area is acting as a spot of support. So I think that's kind of good. But we're going to zoom in a little bit here and we're going to look to see what I'm gonna assume here, and yeah, I mean, you know what happens to people that assume, but I want to say this is more inside of a consolidation period. It looks like price is starting to tighten up a little bit, especially coming after this big downhill wave right here, coming back up a little bit and then right back down. It seems price is starting to tighten up and consolidate in a tighter range here. Along with these EMAs, they're starting to cross over and, tighten up amongst themselves as well. And then, looking at volume, we have these three green candles here, but there's no real volume to support this upwards move. I mean, this day on June 30 and July 1, you could see that there's somewhat ascending right here, but I mean, right back over on the 5th, it's just the volume simply wasn't there. I mean, we still have the green candle, but the volume wasn't there to support that upwards move any higher. So, like I said, that's just all the more reason to me that we're either going to stay kind of flat here or we might dip back down. And in all honesty, coming over to the trade, it would be very beneficial if things were to start going back down. So we're looking over here at the 16 June 23s and this 37 strike. Price is going for around the midpoint's 555. And if I scoot this over, we can see that I bought in at 580. So the long position is down a little bit, but we still have 345 days to go. So it's really nothing that I'm too worried about. Come back over to this. We can look at, I have a 0.98 delta still. And, it's so far in expiration that there's just not even a theta that's registering. So, theta is so low that I'm, I'm confident in staying where I'm at and not really making any moves, especially considering the move that I just made in the last video, going from 31 March 23 to 16 June. I went out further in time, and in retrospect, it may not have been the best decision. I mean, although it's still, I feel like it's a good decision. I could have, since I had so much time in this previous position, you know, I could have let things play out a little bit further instead of rolling out and down. And that's another really big thing is I went from the 40 to the 37. So I brought myself a little bit closer to the money, which, like I said, in retrospect, may not have been the best idea, but nonetheless, it's still a good idea. It's working out for me so far. And then moving on up to these 19 AUGs, I'm sitting right at the money, which is really where I want this short to be right now because of the theta decay. And I mean, there's still 44 days left to expiration, but we're getting a penny a day. It's being knocked off with the theta. Really hoping that'll increase in these coming weeks. And then, not to mention, we're sitting at 0.88, 0.96 bid ask spread, and on the mid we're looking at 88 cents. So bringing that over, let's just move this instead of minimizing. Bringing that over, it's only up 7 cents. So I bought in at or I sold for a credit of 81 cents. So to close right now we're looking at 0.88. I'm at a loss of $7, which truthfully isn't too bad. I'm just gonna let time keep playing out, let the theta bleed out as much as I can, and then hopefully we'll capture some profit off of that one. And then, like I said earlier about XLF trading in this range, so what I'm really looking for here is price to drop or at least test this 30 level again. That would be awesome. I feel like that if price can test this 30 level again, it might truthfully break down through that level. And if it does, better for the position. If it doesn't, I'm fine with letting things kind of ride out here. So yeah, moving on from that, I wanted to talk a little bit about some updates like this Bill Gates news article. He just bought 2,100 acres of farmland in North Dakota. And apparently, what's going on with it, if you guys kind of want to scroll through this, or, hell, if you just want to hop on Why Finance and take a look at it, people are mad about the fact that there is supposedly a law in North Dakota stating that a business or a corporation can't go in and purchase farmland and own that farmland in North Dakota. But Gates apparently is getting around this because he's using a family trust. So that's getting him around this whole business or corporation law that they have in place, and it's letting him just soak up this farmland. And arguably the best or the worst part about it is he's not using the farmland himself. I mean, hell, he's a computer guy. God forbid he become a farmer. We all know how that would play out. But he plans on hiring or leasing out the land to other farmers to just let them do their thing. So could be pretty good. There was a few stocks that are talked about in this. One of them being LAND, Gladstone Land, and then Farmland Partners, FPI. It's this farmland is a REIT, and it kind of sparked my interest, and I wanted to go and look at those guys and see how they were performing. And holy shit, that's a roller coaster down. This volume profile right here has this really huge shelf, roughly at this, 22.9, 23 level-ish, maybe 22, 23 level. And that's where price is kind of sitting around right now. So, that could be a pretty big point right here to see if this is, a support level for this company. And not knowing anything about it except just out of this article, it has the potential for possibly maybe like a short call or, maybe some bearish action. It looks like it could still further go down. Price might be tightening a little bit here. And I mean, hell, even if the news digests tomorrow or even into later in the week or early next week, there could be a small jump, back up to these levels here. So it might be a decent short-term play. I'm going to definitely keep my eye on that and see what that looks like later on. And over here onto FPI, we have price sitting around 13.9, 14, and this one just looks kind of choppy to me. I don't really know how I feel about it. I don't really feel anything about it. It's just kind of meh. So I don't see the big interest in this, at least for me. And moving back over to why it's mentioned is that they're paying out dividends. You know, it's one of the things they were talking about here. It's, you know, you don't have to do it with a ton of money. You know, it says you don't have to be a billionaire to get, you know, some of this action, but you can buy into these and they'll pay you back the dividends. So maybe it could be a good dividend play since things are low right now, especially that FPI, you know, sitting around that 13 level. You could scoop up a few shares and it's showing, you know, they're paying this annual dividend of 1.8, which it's not the worst, it's not the best in the world. And then LA&D, Gladstone Land, they're paying out annual div of 2.5%. So once again, I mean, it's better, but it's not the best in the world. It's not the worst in the world, but they're cheap. So moving over back to land. Yeah, they're cheap. This is off of a $42 high in April. So things could be bouncing back. They're paying dividends really regularly. It doesn't look like they've stopped anytime. Yeah, those are just a few extra little bonus stocks that I wanted to talk about, and hope to see you guys in the next video. See ya.